ignore stuff. So, Akila knew how to go say something.
What's up, guys? You're doing the Super Mike Show. What's up, guys? This is Super Mike. What's up, Instagram? You can come over to YouTube channel, Super Mike 2164. We're going to start up the show. Shout out to Akila and Honda. Millions really wants. None of them I trust. Yeah, finally, guys. Yeah, this is not going to be a call in. I'm just going to do some listing real quick. What's up, BMT? What's up, James? Hot beer. On Instagram. What's up, Instagram? Like I said, y'all can come over to YouTube. I'm about to end this on You Don't Have a Clue. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. The government, the popos, and Sally Mae too. Got a million ways that they're trying to break you. And we don't have a clue. Not up on my trust. Not up on my trust. Not up on my trust. None of them I trust. Get a clue. I know. We're not doing it. I'm just doing real quick. So yeah, guys. As you see, I'm very late, extremely late. And what we could do is we'll have a call in a little bit later about this. But this is actually a lot of information because I was researching the information. You'll see kind of why I was a little late. It's just way too much. See, what I wanted to do on this one here is too much, but I got to try to get some of this out, and I'm going to try to make the show real small just so people can just get through some of it. But we're going to listen to Dr. Wesley. I want to show how, our community was intentionally disoriented. And when I'm saying disoriented, I'm talking about, perverted. You know what I'm saying? We were perverted. We're out here being perverted. And this is right after this, especially after the 60s. So it was being done before there, but especially after the Black Power movement in the 60s, they decided to eliminate and just mess us up, period. Mess us up, basically. And we're going to go through a few of the culprits. So first of all, with the idea of love everybody. And we notice he looks a little moist in here. This is Kevin Gates. This is one of your big stars. So what they're doing here is they're going to take some of your highly respected groups of people, and they're going to just pervert you. And they're going to use that, and they're going to replace your legitimate leadership with entertainment leadership. That's basically what's happening. So when we go through this, y'all will see some of this. But like I said, unfortunately, it takes a little bit of education. It takes a lot of, just a lot of research. So this right here is Frederick Goodwin. On this YouTube channel, I have a video that goes into some of his history. Yeah, very zesty, and that's on purpose. Zest is the cure for your radicalism, Leroy. You're too radical. So we're going to put some zest in your steps into your children. So this is Frederick King Goodwin. He died, just a few years ago, but he was the leader of a violence initiative, that you guys are victims of, but you don't really understand or know it. He was doing this to you in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to go through just a touch on it. We just want to make some people, make y'all aware of some of these people. Here's another Renita Sanders. We'll go over what she's doing. She received a grant from the U.S. government to study, the satisfaction levels of adolescent black African American males from getting poked in the butt, basically. There she goes. She's Renita Sanders. She's out there, Johns Hopkins University. We'll go through some of that just a little bit. Like I said, we want to go through just a little bit of this stuff. But like I said, the reason why a lot of times these type of subjects we're not well understood is because it actually takes, for us to even recognize it, it takes a certain amount of information about biology that most of us don't have. It's too hard. And then it takes a minute to kind of get into it so you can see it, because you really can't see it. And then when you try to explain it to people, they're like, nah, they got a choice. So basically, I want to go through just a couple things. Like I said, I went through the 60s. We'll go through here. And I want Gil Noble. He did a documentary, which you're not going to find nobody else. You're not going to find nobody else who gets this deep into the mindset of a dope fiend. Now, what documentaries have you? We got footage on dope users, dope sellers, all this stuff. But the dope fiends, especially in I think this was the 70s or something. Well, I just wanted to show. I mean, he's sitting up there. He's not shooting up with them, but they allow him into the circle. And basically, these dope fiends are telling us don't take dope, right? But they're gonna take some dope and show you why. They tell you they're basically like zombies.
When did you get involved? How old were you?
Let's see. So he's showing.
They at one time had the same kind of arguments I just ran down.
Hold on.
But now, I mean, that's what.
All right, so Gil Noble is an award-winning black journalist. He, cares about his community, black folks. And he was making this documentary so he can, because, when you try to tell somebody who's young something, they don't believe you. They got every excuse in the world why you're wrong and they can do what they want to do. And what you want, and then of course we get to the point, well, they're going to learn. Well, they'll learn the hard way. Well, the thing is, we want to try to prevent people from having to learn the hard way. So I think he created this documentary, and this is something that a lot of people could actually get, especially if you have people that's at risk. Show it to them. It's hard to look at, but we're going to look at some of this real quick.
What you say, right? It helps you play ball better, dance better, think better, make love better, study better. And again, what's so good about it, you say, is that you can't get a Jones from it, or a habit. Well, my dear brothers and sisters, because we care about you so very much, we went out into the street and cut into some people that you just have to meet. They at one time had the same kind of arguments I just ran down. But now, things are a bit different. Yet, because of their deep love for you, they agreed one night to meet with me in a dark, dingy boiler room of an apartment building. They had a lot to say to me, but in actuality, they were really talking to you. When you started, did you think that you were going to get as involved as you are now?
No, because when I first started, it was more out of curiosity, out of watching all the guys around the block, and it was like a new adventure. Like growing up, like we had certain idols, I wanted to see why Tommy over there was doing all this and why he was bending over like this. And then after we got into it, kind of liked it a little bit. And after a while, you would have to just buy drugs just to feel normal.
How much do you have to shoot now just to feel normal?
Well, at first I would spend $25, they call it half a quarter. And after I get that first shot in me, it would like settle me, get my nerves back, because you'd be all nervous and be to the parts where your eyes would be running or you'd be about to throw up or your bowels would break. After that first shot, in my second shot, then I would be like more so trying to get high. So that would be like $50, a $50 shot.
How much do you shoot a day now?
Roughly about 3 to 4 quarters a day.
How much does that cost?
A quarter is $50, quarter. Sometimes, like if you buy regular for one guy, he would give it to you for $40 a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like $160 a day.
Mm-hmm. How about you? When did you get involved?
Now think about that, $160 a day. Okay, so that's probably not enough. $160 a day. Listen, the man said he has to do this to feel normal. So now he done got to this situation where they're on the drugs. Of course, they're on these drugs. This type of drug, now your body, it depends upon it because our bodies actually make its own drug. We already make drugs in our head. And this is normal for us because our body can produce it. But when you're starting to take this stuff, now your body doesn't need to make its own drugs. It's dependent on you to continue to supply this stuff. This is how they got you hooked. So we want to I want to hit, I just wanted to kind of highlight that little point. I want to keep looking at some of this here. So, just let's keep going. Like I said, this ain't the call-in show, but I want y'all to look at this because I do want to talk about some of the stuff in here. We're going to go into how this is intentionally done to pervert Black folks. And keep in mind, this is in the past. So all these people, they had kids. Their kids are adults now. These are people who are all mentally messed up, warped, behavior issues. This stuff is what we're looking at. This is why stuff ain't normal now.
How old were you?
I was about 19 or 20 when I first started. It was more or less out of curiosity, like the brother said.
Now listen to how they're talking too. They're not like, you know what I'm saying, not me. Not me. I was just, you know what I'm saying? Not that. They're not talking like babies. You know what I'm saying? Pana. They're not talking like that. These men are talking clearly. If they were not adult fiends, they could probably be successful in many communications jobs or different capacities. They could communicate well enough to start businesses. Listen to them. These are straight dope fiends. These people have abdicated the responsibilities of their manhood and their families for this substance. This is what they've done.
Then it became a necessity. And now it's not about even getting high no more. It's just about, just trying to feel normal.
How much do you shoot a day in dollars?
Oh, sometimes $200 or $300 a day. It varies.
$200-300 a day?
Yeah.
Where do you have to shoot? I notice your hands look kind of messed up.
Well, like now I can't, I was going in my hand, now I can't. I was going in my arms, I can't go in my arm no more. I was going in my leg. My legs are messed up, I can't go there anymore. I was going in my neck, I can't do that anymore. Now I started going under the arm. And that just swelled up this morning, so I don't know where I'm gonna go now.
You were going in your neck?
Yeah.
Show me where.
I don't know whether you can still see the...
Mm-hmm.
It swelled up one time, now the vein more or less collapsed.
Would you use a mirror?
Yeah. And sometimes I get someone else to do it.
Someone else to shoot?
Think about this, man. This man, how much is $300 per day just to feel normal? Let's say, I'm going to say 300 days a year. This man figure out how to get $300 a day times 365. Dude, I can't, but let me make sure I'm doing that math right. $300 times 365. Okay. $109,500 a year. This is what this person figures out how to do for this substance. Back in dang on 1970, which is equivalent to basically like $300,000 today. Wow. Let's keep going. Like I said, it's gonna get a little something else.
Shoot in your neck.
Yeah.
Man, how can you shoot a dirty needle in your neck?
Well, when you're sick, when you trying to get that first shot, you don't care when you got to get the hit at, just so long as you get the first shot in you. You're not concerned about whether it's in the neck or on the arm or in your foot. In the forehead, some people go in the forehead. You don't even, wherever you can find the vein at, that's where you want to shoot it at.
Is that what has caused these scars on your hand?
Yeah. From, going in a certain spot so many times, it start to kill the area. Start leaving tracks, swell up there, like both my hands are swollen up. Now I can't even go in either hand.
Show me where you were shooting. Right in the skin here?
Yeah, right there.
Until it formed an ulcer.
Right.
What about you, B?
Well, mine here, you can see, is it's an ulcer already. And basically it came from me being like a little nervous while I was shooting it in. I was a little ill. And a cocaine miss usually makes a bad ulcer like that. Heroin miss usually don't make a bad ulcer like that. It just makes a hard spot. You see, it comes from a combination of cocaine and heroin. And it leaves terrible ulcers.
Let me see your arm.
Which I have, all over. You can see mine. It's very bad. It's very
Dang! Gee! That's speedball. This is what the parents, the grandparents of a lot of dysfunctional people that we see nowadays in society, this is where some of the origin comes from. Now, I want to make this impact, so let's keep it going just a little bit. This is what now my brother BMT, he be blasting them. He be hitting, he was talking about Corey Holcomb today, talking about his own daughter, the way that he deals with his own child, his own seed, and disrespects his own daughter. The girl, so he's dysfunctional. Where is this coming from? So where is this culture coming from?
bad. I have them all the way up my arm, both arms.
Let me see your arm. And each of these spots are where you put a needle in.
Right. Now, so sometimes it gets to the point that if they're not treated or some type of antibiotic isn't taken, one ulcer will spread to another body, like your pores might be open from perspiration, and some of the pus and germs are getting to the pores of other ulcers, of your skin, and it makes another ulcer just continue to spread.
Isn't it painful, man?
Very painful. These I try to cure myself. Like I drain the pus, and it's a core you have to get out. And I pull it out, painstakingly, but I want them off. I wasn't ready to kick, so I wasn't going to the hospital.
Where do you shoot now? You can't shoot in your arms.
No, I can't shoot my arms now. Now I go under my arms. I stopped going to my legs. I went in my forehead also. I went in my fingers. Now I go on my side here. Got veins on the side of my chest. I go there now.
Where do you shoot, brother?
Brother, I'm going to tell you, I have been literally every place on my body.
Like where?
My neck, fingers, toes, my feet. Let me just show you my feet. This is what drugs can do to you. I'm telling you.
So like I said, I'm showing that to get that impact. Now, this is a culture of death. This is a culture of dependency. Now, I actually had a debate. No, it's not a real debate, but I posted this video about culture because a lot of times Black folks don't understand what words mean, and then we want to argue about what we think the word mean, and instead of just looking up the definition and not arguing about something simple. But, culture is basically everything that you do. A lot of times Black people, especially in America, we think we don't have culture because we're thinking about what we see on TV. Right. we think we see on TV with other races and stuff like that, and their little dances and things like that. But it's just the normal stuff that we do. That's really what culture is called. It's the way we talk. It's so normal to us. We don't even think it's a big deal. That's the reason why it's easy for a lot of Black folks to say we don't have culture. The way you talk, when you see other groups of people trying to talk like you, that's showing you that you're something different. And then, that's part of your culture. Just the way you talk. It's not even something that you think twice about. So what's happening here with this dope fiend stuff, we're going to get into a little more. Let's listen to Dr. Wesley. He's going to tell us a few things on how some of this stuff started. So let's check this out.
Can you all see that? Our apologies for the inaccessibility of our big screen. In April of 1961, a very important symposium took place in Washington, D.C. entitled The Power to Change Behavior Symposium, presented by the U.S. Bureau of Prisons. It brought together prison wardens and their staff, behavioral scientists, and social scientists. The aim of this symposium was to discuss and develop behavior modification techniques.
So you got to realize this is 1961. They had this symposium. See, we got to understand that sometimes they have these meetings and this group stuff and all of these initiatives, and we see these people there. It's not going to deal with you in the time that they're having it. They're having a discussion at your moment. Their discussion is to create a plan which they have the power to initiate and implement, but it's going to take effect, and the effects will be seen sometimes decades later. So in 1961, this little symposium may not have been nothing. The Power to Change Behavior Symposium, presented by the U.S. Bureau of Prisons in 1961. To the people back in 1961, that may not have been nothing. That was just water, just something that's happening. But now to us, we look back at them. What were they talking about at that time? Because at that time, they had these people. You start researching these folks, which I don't have time to show y'all everything about these people. Dr. Bertrand Brown, Edgar Schein, James Bennett. This is what they were going to create you into from prisons. They used the prison as a petri dish. And guess what's made in a petri dish? If anybody knows anything about what you call labs and samples and basically growth cultures in science, also in laboratories, we need to take a culture sample. You hear that? That culture sample. So what they can do, right? They do that in bacteria. You get sick. We need to take what they call a piece of that. Basically, they'll swab here, swab there, see what bacteria, see what grows in this media. Okay, this is what they did here. They'll create a culture in that prison, and then now once they got the type of culture inside the prison, because they control that prison, they can release that particular culture and insert it in particular parts of the neighborhood that they control. Okay, that sounds too big, too crazy, huh? No? Okay, let's look a little bit more.
Symposium took place in Washington, D.C. entitled The Power to Change Behavior Symposium, presented by the U.S. Bureau of Prisons. It brought together prison wardens and their staff, behavioral scientists, and social scientists. The aim of this symposium was to discuss and develop behavior modification techniques that could be tested or experimented on thousands of captive U.S. prisoners and then to society at large. At this time, the jails and prisons were being flooded by black people as a result of the nonviolence, civil disobedience tactics of the civil rights movement beginning in 1954, the Freedom Riders and such. The symposium was chaired by Dr. James Bennett, director of the U.S. Bureau of Prisons, co-chaired by Dr. Bertram Brown, at that time a staff psychiatrist at the National Institute of Mental Health and special assistant to President John F. Kennedy. The keynote speaker was Dr. Edgar Schein, associate professor of psychology at Massachusetts.
All right, so he went into that. So what we want to do is I want to show y'all. That's Gil Noble, by the way, guys. He did this documentary, which is probably good to check out. He did a lot of stuff. So Gil Noble's award-winning, television reporter, interviewer. He did a lot of stuff. So this is important that black folks, we got to look at what happened before we got here. We think we know every damn thing. We don't. So people left us records. Use them. Use those records. See the battles they were having before we got here. Okay, so that way we know where to start on. We don't have to repeat the same stupidity. So let's go into. Actually, hold on.
And before that, chief of the social psychology section at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, where he studied with CIA funding the brainwashing techniques used by the Chinese during the Korean War. May I have some water, please? Dr. Schein learned something during this research that the government would seize upon.
This is important. This is the main part. Now listen to what he says here. This is what Dr. Schein learned. And this is what we all better recognize. This is how it's done.
And used to great effect against you and I. He learned that brainwashing is the ability to deliberately change the behavior and the attitudes of a captive population by a group of men who have control of the environment in which that population is confined, be it a prison, a concentration camp, or an urban ghetto. In other words, to successfully control a group's behavior and modify it to meet your desires, you don't have to control the person's body. You need only have control of his environment. And by manipulating his environment, you can manipulate his behavior and coercively persuade him to adopt a culture that he otherwise would have resisted.
So that is called culture. When you have to deal with your environment and you have to deal with the issues to survive inside your environment, and you don't get to control your resources, you don't control your water, if you don't control your food supply, if you don't control your overall security, you don't have control of the laws. If somebody else controls all of those things that you need to survive, then they could brainwash you, they can manipulate your culture. That's what's being done. That's why I called it intentional disorientation. And when black people go out there, start arguing and screaming and fighting, talking about we want this and we want that, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, we want more control over our environment. And because if you notice, the people who we're always arguing with, these are people in little government positions and stuff. So let's look at this real quick. I want to actually go over this point. We'll deal with this sister, Renetta Sanders. So Renetta Sanders, she's a doctor over there at Johns Hopkins, who's the same hospital that took the stuff from Henrietta Lacks and was experimenting on black women. We got this here. So back in 2015, Washington Free Beacon, the Fed spent $410,000, $410,265 studying satisfaction, with quotes, satisfaction levels of young gay men's first time. They got to study that. This is something they want to know about. The government spent $410,265 studying satisfaction levels of young gay men. Now, the title just said gay men, but we'll see further in the article, they're talking about black men, black young kids, basically. Okay. First time. So project examining the meaning and function of the first penetrative same-sexual experiences. This is the news here. Did y'all hear about this? But it was reported by the Washington Free Beacon. All right, this is back in Elizabeth Harrington, April 17, 2015. So this was, this is 9 years ago. The National Institute of Health. The National Institute of Health. I think Fauci has a lot of influence over that. But anyway, has spent over $400,000 studying the satisfaction levels of the first sexual experiences of young gay men. The 4-year study being conducted by Johns Hopkins University is examining the meaning and function of the first penetrative same-sexual experiences. Prior work has been demonstrated that same-sex relationship trajectories support the development of self-esteem in young gay bisexual men, while opposite same-sex relationships may be associated with homonegativity. So, they always like to change words and try to sound extra smart. The bottom line is, what are y'all studying? Y'all studying trying to see how to make these kids like this stuff and so that they don't change back or they don't reorientate themselves or get reorientated. So the 4-year study being conducted by Johns Hopkins University is examining the meaning and function of this first penetrative same-sexual experiences. Prior work has demonstrated that the relationship trajectories, support the development of self-esteem in young gay and bisexual men, while opposite same-sex relationships may be associated with homonegativity. So basically, they call it opposite same-sex relationships, which they could have just called heterosexual. They're basically saying heterosexual relationships may be associated with homonegativity, I guess. So the grant project, which began in 2012, states, little is known about the meaning and function of same-sex experience in African American adolescents. Now they call them men, okay? Adolescents, though, okay? And whether satisfaction with first penetrative same-sex experience impacts sexual trajectories. Are they going to stay like that? Are they going to change back? Or if it was bad the first time, are they going to stay this way? This is what they're trying to figure out, how to keep y'all the way they want you, fixed. They want to solve violence. Yeah. Right. So they want to solve this violence here. This is the violence problem. So this is Johns Hopkins again, this same hospital. We got Henrietta Lacks. We got this COVID situation. We got this thing. And then if you go back even more, you'll find some other stuff. They just, have a lot of stuff with this Johns Hopkins hospital we should be looking into. but they're not famous because we don't pay attention to this, and stuff is just happening to people in our community, and then we just see the results of it. But this stuff came from somewhere. Where is this coming from? That's what we should ask. Should always see something weird and be like, where is this coming from? So the study is also examining the satisfaction levels of this young gay man. The research phase of an award is to explore the reasons for and satisfaction with first and subsequent. They're studying this. To me, just them studying this is weird. I don't know. It's just very weird. So this is the research phase of the award, is to explore the reasons for and satisfaction with first and subsequent penetrative same-sex sexual experiences. And then they put a, acronym PSSE, pussy, I guess, but anyway. And to examine the role of first pussy, PSSE, on second, and I guess they want to call that a bussy. A bussy. Wow. Anyway, the second and subsequent in African American men. They're going for you. See, they don't want to study it in everybody. They're studying in African American men. Now tell me why. See, that's all I'm saying is when we start talking about conspiracy, we start talking about stuff. I mean, this is right in black and white. So the study will look at the amount of time between the first and second partner, depending on the sexual satisfaction of the first penetration. 45 African American adolescent males are undergoing in-depth interviews for the study. So we was mad at Eddie Long. Was he a part of that experiment? Is TD Jakes a part of that experiment? Well, hey, y'all be arguing, but God, I'm trying to say something here. These things are coming from somewhere. Now, what the thing is, my purpose in looking at these type of issues, like I said, this is science. They're using science to orientate our culture. So are we just going to sit here and argue with each other about it? Or are we going to start learning the science so that we can understand when and what has happened to us? So I'm going to show this, but I always show it. I'm going to show it again. And you should learn something from this.
State University says he can take this male rat and make it behave like a female for the rest of its life, and vice versa for a female, just by altering the hormones it's exposed to right at birth. Because rats are born underdeveloped, that's roughly the same as altering a third trimester human fetus in the womb. But first, he said, I'd need a crash course in rat sex.
He's a Romeo.
He's Romeo. Ooh, look at him.
Male rats like Romeo mount any rat that comes their way. In the mating process, the female, that's her being dropped on top of him, performs something called lordosis, where she lifts her head and rump.
Now, what if Romeo here goes after a male?
The male will seem profoundly indifferent.
But Breedlove says he can change all that. He gave this female rat a single shot of the male sex hormone testosterone at birth. Now grown up, she will never perform lordosis. But this male rat will. Take a look. He was castrated at birth, depriving him of testosterone.
So you created a gay rat.
So, like I said, I show that a lot. Some of y'all are familiar with that. And the reason being is because this is a science issue. Like I said, it's very, a lot of us, we don't look at this stuff because it's actually it's a lot of reading because they really do a lot of experimentation just to try to get us to. So I'm going to read some of this real quick. I just want to put this on document, and I got about 20 minutes left. So y'all make sure y'all press the little thumbs up, share the little thing on your social media. Thanks everybody for commenting. Yep, this bug breaking. And my thing is, we've got to stop. I'm not into, just like I said, this information, me learning this here. I understand that the actual solution. See, when these scientists come up with their stuff, they're actually trying to change us. They're trying to change the behavior. Okay, they're not just saying what they wish would happen, but they're actually learning what to do. Why is this happening? Why is this behavior happening? And then they're doing things to try to alter that behavior. Okay, so if we would like a more normative world, a more normative society, first of all, if you are a victim of some of this stuff, we can't really get that mad at the victims. You see what I'm saying? Because they didn't know. They really believe in what they're believing. Okay. And the thing is, we're all victims of some of this on some level because I'm just exposing it's just a small amount. Like I said, that's one of the reasons why I was late. I was reading some of this stuff and I had to cut out this and cut out that. I can't, it's just too much stuff. It's a lot of stuff. You got to realize I went from 1961 and we way up, to the 80s and 70s. And then we went to the drugs. They intentionally, there's a part in here. Let me see if I can
basically the same. That we all looked at.
Hold on.
I say maybe a time.
To have like the sportsmen, the politicians, and this and that. Everybody was like a changing at that time. Everybody wanted to get into something
so
different.
Here it is. So these people, these men told us when they started.
As far as myself, that's when I noticed where a little bit before that time, they had a lot of gangs. To have like
on you like.
So you all started using drugs in the 60s, huh?
Now listen, so they started using drugs in the 60s, huh? Remember here.
The Shine called this technique
The power to change. You all started using drugs in the 60s, huh? The Power to Change Behavior Symposium presented by the U.S. Bureau of Prisons, April 1961. Okay, maybe that's just a coincidence. Let's keep it looking.
Right. The latter 60s for myself, 67.
Why is that? Why did you all start using around the same time? Have you ever thought about that?
as far as myself, that's when I noticed where a little bit before that time, they had a lot of gangs. To have like the sportsmen, the politicians, and this and that. Everybody was like a changing at that time. Everybody wanted to get into something different. It seemed like at that moment, more people was getting to the drug thing and putting the jitterbugging down. The gang wars, that was like playing out. That was for like kids now. Everybody was getting into a hip thing, and the drugs came on the set. That's when more drugs came into the community.
See, the gang war. This is the violence initiative. See, okay. See, they just part of a whole process that they didn't know that was being performed and dropped down into their systems. And they just was like kids and just going for it.
But why at that particular time? Do you have any thoughts about why it came at that particular time? Have you thought about that?
Yes, well, during that time, it was more or less the time of the Black Panthers and revolution and hippies, and the drug culture was just more or less blooming around that time, and you hear, at that time, I was about 13, maybe 14, and, you be hearing a lot about drugs, and you in the particular ghetto environment. I grew up on 119th Street, St. Nicholas, in the particular area where I lived. The main drug was dope and marijuana.
That's what you started on? Marijuana?
Yes. Yes. I started smoking marijuana, but the marijuana didn't lead me into the drugs.
It didn't?
No. I used marijuana until I wanted, like the older guys, a lot of older guys were using heroin. And they always seemed to be a lot higher than I was, you know? I was high, but I wasn't as high as they were, you know? And so I wanted to know how they was getting so high. And, the marijuana wasn't giving me this effect. And so...
But then how can you say that one didn't lead you to another?
Because
when you come to think of it now.
Now, I wanted to use heroin because I wanted to get higher.
Right.
Higher than, then marijuana didn't give me the effect that I saw other people getting.
You started on marijuana, reefer, to get high, and then you moved elsewhere to get higher.
Right.
So step one led to step two.
You could say that. You could possibly say that.
Now you see how even this man is he's a victim within the system of dope fiend and drugs and stuff like that. But he don't know what the hell he's thinking about. He talking about, I started on marijuana, but that didn't lead me to this here. And then the man, he's described himself, and then Gil Noble's telling him, like, how are you gonna say that didn't lead you to the other drugs? He don't even know what the hell he's thinking. Okay? No, he wasn't jealous of their high because he could have got some too. Like I said, Gil Noble is there as very well respected journalist. He is doing this as a service, because if you watch this whole video, I don't know how you're going to try some type of dope. I don't know who would touch it after this. I ain't going to show this whole thing because I ain't got time. But the point is, and he also is leaving us something. He's leaving us something to study, a record. Now, he's passed away. Gil Noble's passed away. But, he's leaving us definitely. Well, you talking about this man that was on dope? Yeah, he's jealous of the high of the older people. Yeah, he just wanted to try to compete with them. Yeah, so that's kind of what he said that helped lead him into that. But I just wanted y'all to see this here, and I want to read something here. And this is coming from this book. This book is called The Pot Plot, Marijuana, Hip Hop, and Scientific Assault on Black America. Now, this is something that average Black folks, we don't read. If you want to hide something, put it in a book from Black folks. But we're going to try to open up some of this stuff here, try to get it. Now, like I said, for us to even know what their plan is, we got to understand now with the sexual disorientation, it's a lot to deal with hormones, okay? And some of our main hormones are testosterone, which is called androgens. Androgen, okay, androgynous or androgen. That is testosterone. It's the male hormone, okay? That's what masculinizes, and the men, that's what masculinizes anything. The typical behavior of a male of anything, it's coming from a testosterone situation. And then we got estrogen and we got progesterone. Okay, those are the main sexual hormones. Now they've discovered here that actually some of these different groups of people have different levels of these hormones. So he got a chapter 3, the black man from Mr. T, and everybody know Mr. T, and he says Mr. T to Mr. E, from Mr. Testosterone to Mr. Estrogen. He done turned us from Mr. Testosterone to Mr. Estrogen. They have found Richard Lynn, Professor Emeritus of Psychology at the University of Ulster. Now, notice that psychology, and I think me and Leroy was talking about this yesterday with the psychology. that psychology and all of those doctors and stuff, a lot of that is from, it seems like a lot of these experiments are happening in the field of psychology. So, okay, University of Ulster and a controversial race theorist is nonetheless correct when he affirms that there is a direct evidence for higher testosterone levels in, he calls them Negroids, which are black people, which is higher testosterone levels in black people than in Caucasians. So that was Richard Lynn. And I didn't have time to look his face up, but you know, y'all can do that. And the Lynn is Lynn. African and African descendant populations are widely attested of having higher testosterone levels, as well as more numerous and more sensitive androgen receptors. So those androgen receptors, meaning that's the reason why a lot of times the black folks, our muscle mass and density can seems like it can be a little bit more stronger. And that's a lot of times why, you run a little bit faster sometimes and stuff like that. So he went into this, and a lot of these people, when they're very scientific, but they get jealous of black people because they're like, damn, I wish I could have that stuff that they got, and y'all don't even know what y'all got. So basically, he was like, so they basically have more testosterone and androgen receptors than Europeans and the Asians. The most thorough study to date in 2011 with 2005 and 2006 data has shown that African Caribbean men do indeed have significantly higher T and dihydrotestosterone levels than European men. This makes sense because vitamin D increases the biosynthesis of testosterone, and African peoples have the most optimal vitamin D status. Vitamin D status is directly associated with T levels. So basically, like I said, y'all will have to study more on testosterone. Y'all will have to study a little bit more on testosterone because, like I said, it's a lot that is important for us to know. There is a gene. There is a gene that encodes the enzyme that converts testosterone to a more useful form of testosterone is encoded by the SRD5A2 gene. Okay. There are certain variants of this gene that are exclusive to black men, which correlate to elevated 5 basically reductase activity and higher testosterone conversion rates in black men than others, than whites. Okay, so a lot of them, like I said, guys, they're always trying to figure out how come they always beating us in sports and certain things that these people put their minds to. And a lot of times we think it's the melanin, is partly so, but our bodies are older. We have a longer genetic history than they do. So this is part of that. Now this is why they're having a hard time, coming up with ways to get rid of us in certain aspects. So I want to show this other aspect because, like I said, we only got a few minutes left, and I'm not going to go.
Social psychology.
I want to show this portion. Let's see. I think it was right here. Yeah, this one here, Albert Kligman. We should know who this is. See, this is how they, we got to understand, like, dude, we don't know what the hell is happening to us. Then when we don't understand the behaviors out here, you got to understand we're on social media now. We're talking to people. There's a variety of people. This stuff here is not somewhere far off. These people that we're talking to are, have history and connections with some of these issues, and so when we're talking to people, we're going to get some of these, we're going to see this stuff. And the issue is, how do we move from just getting into just debates with people for the sake of debating. How do we move from that mentality to the mentality of actually, you know what? How do we study them so we can change it? You know, that's how I'm looking at some of this here. Let's go through this here.
You see that cracker right there? You can see him? Drink him in. Between 1951 and 1951 and 1974, the University of Pennsylvania, in concert or collaboration with the CIA, the U.S. Army Chemical Corps, and various commercial companies such as Dow Chemical, used primarily black inmates at the Holmesburg prison in Philadelphia as human guinea pigs.
So, like I say again, these are companies, they're still in business. Okay, these people are still in business. University of Pennsylvania, Dow Chemical, you can go get a job there. United States Army of Chemical Corps, the Central Intelligence Agency. You know, they did this.
Subjected them to a series of horrific scientific experiments. Inmates were deliberately injected with herpes, syphilis, gonorrhea, malaria, and dioxin, the toxic contaminant of the U.S. military's infamous Agent Orange. The point man and architect of this University of Pennsylvania research project was Dr. Albert Kligman. That's him. Dr. Albert Kligman, a University of Pennsylvania dermatologist and a Jew, the son of Jewish immigrants from England and the Ukraine. Dr. Kligman shared the Holmesburg prison experimentation project with Dr. Milton Kahn and his brother, Dr. Bert Kahn, Jews. So too was Dr. Edgar Schein, who helped develop the brainwashing and behavior modification techniques that targeted primarily black inmates, a self-confessed Jew. Why do I emphasize the Jewish heritage of these key figures? Well, it is because I am seeking to expose another chapter, if you will, in the history of the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. A chapter in history I am calling the secret relationship between between the white Jew and the black homosexual. Say that again. The secret relationship between the white Jew and the black homosexual.
So he's going, he's getting into that. We're going to end this off. Yeah, like I said. So I want to go through this part too, and this is just to end it off here. There's a lot of talk online. See, this is connecting it to us, a lot of us online. We got these talk about alpha male, alpha female, beta men, and, these sort of stuff that we hear on the manosphere, the black manosphere, and all these other spots. All of this crap, this comes from this actual science called dominance hierarchy studies. Okay. Yeah. All of this stuff. But you got to realize this stuff, they're definitely, somebody like Barrett Rustin. This is a situation, okay, that this is playing out over decades. You got to look at all of this stuff in connection. So it's saying keeping the black male subordinate. See, they feel threatened by your aggression and your drive to try to control the government and your country and your state, things like that. So the controversy of a psychosurgery forced Frank Irving out of Massachusetts General and Boston. He landed at the University of California in Los Angeles, UCLA, 1972, 1978, at the same time when crack was created, okay? I mean, literally created. That before they released it, they were creating it during that period of time. All right, he collaborated with a group of UCLA scientists who, in the 70s and early 80s, conducted research on the mechanics and the biochemical role in social dominance hierarchy. This is where they start coming up with this language about alpha kid, alpha male, alpha this and that, right? So the thing is, he collaborated with those sciences. So they studied the interrelationships between dominant male groups and subordinate male groups. What distinguishes dominant males from subordinate males, behaviorally and biochemically, and how dominant male groups thwart challenges from subordinate males to maintain their dominance. This is where we're getting this language from. This is what, like I said, we can't really get real control of this stuff until we start looking at it a little bit more scientifically, so we can study stuff. Actually, I don't know if I'm. So actually, let me see. We'll do it this way. So I'm gonna read the next page. I didn't take a picture of it. Sorry, guys. By studying colonies of African green monkeys, so basically, they apply observations to the human social setting. Okay, basically, they postulated that a society's dominant male group and the subordinate males will engage in competitive relationships over resources, and each will display a wide array of competitive behaviors in order to gain an advantage to the others, to maintain their dominance, to keep dominance. So basically, they're going to compete with each other until, so they can keep the dominance. So basically, using that as like the black men and then the white men. They're fighting to take control of situations. But what I wanted to do here also, I just want to go into some of the chemicals that we should study a little bit more on. For example, biochemical serotonin. Let's see. Trying to find that page where it's on here. So they came up with this study called social pharmacology. And, oh, there it is. So, is this it? Yeah. So they were just talking about how social pharmacology, which this guy is the father of social pharmacology, one of the fathers of social pharmacology, so psychopharmacology, then psychosocial. But anyway, there are two forms of this important biochemical serotonin: the brain serotonin produced by the brainstem, and then the hypothalamus, and whole blood serotonin produced mainly in the gut and the pineal gland. Because serotonin does not cross the blood-brain barrier, the two forms function separately. Their biogenesis, or where they're made, is related, but is distinct. So basically, you have to eat tryptophan to create brain serotonin. So tryptophan is in like turkey. They have it in some other stuff too. But tryptophan, which is neuron specific. So like I said, it's a lot of science in this. I'm not trying to go through all of this. It's good for us to go through this, but I'm not trying to really hit us with all of the terms yet. We can go through some of those terms and learn it, because we do need to learn more science. But the point is, what serotonin does, they found that it's vital. Serotonin is our brain's key modulator. So serotonin is the brain's key modulator of several psychological processes. So when they say, oh, you got a chemical imbalance, mainly is this serotonin stuff. So including our primitive drives, emotions, it's the brain's chemical brakes, our impulse inhibitor. It puts the lid on our impulsive behavior. High serotonin is required to rein in our basic drives. So your appetite, your sex, your aggression, and keeping them out from racing all out of control. When serotonin is low, all the basic drives that it regulates can burst out of control because low serotonin results in loss of impulse control. So when you say that people know right from wrong, they do. But if they have the bad diet and if if they're taking some drug that's serotonergic, you can look that word up. Serotonin, I can't pronounce it right. Serotonergic, basically. It some of these medicines zap your serotonin. A lot of times these people can easily be switched off, and they have all sorts of issues, behavior issues. They can't control themselves. They be like, I don't know what's wrong with me. They know something's wrong. They don't, but for some reason they have a hard time controlling the little thoughts that pops inside their brain, and then they have a hard time controlling themselves from trying to act on those thoughts. So I'm gonna end it right here, but like I said, I think we'll end it with this part. But like I said, I just wanted to go through some of the stuff that have actually happened to Black folks. This is an ongoing thing. We just exposed a very small amount of it.
I don't plan on getting it. I don't want it. So for him to tell me that I have to get it in order for me to not violate my probation is crazy.
This week, a Hamilton County judge ordered a man to get the COVID-19 vaccine as a...
So, yeah. And then remember the censorship portion. I can't play that. I don't know if I can even play that now. I can't even play that now. And I didn't say it. That was on the news because of censorship. So your environment is being controlled. That's what's going on. We'll come up with another show so we can actually discuss some of this stuff. But I do want some of us to look up some of this stuff. Look up some of these people that we were mentioned, the Violence Initiative, Frank Goodwin. Look up these experiments where they're sitting up here studying penetration and, then all the movies. You got black men in dresses to make this is the propaganda level to make it okay. It's all right, huh? So, when we're dealing with this stuff, we got to start, actually trying to figure out how can we actually make impact on changing, because sitting up here just what I'm saying, I mean, of course that's part of it, making it not popular, so denigrating and shaming, so part of that's good. It could work, but it actually there's a limit to that. I'll say it that way. Anyway, peace out. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure y'all share the message. Press the like button. Appreciate it. Peace.